Welcome to the clinical training module on the uPole with Pivot Bar. We are so excited to be sharing this product with you and hope that you and your clients will be as excited about it as we are. Hi, I'm Sandy Alexander. I'm the community and clinical educator here at Healthcraft. I have had a long career as an occupational therapist, completing home safety assessments and recommending home safety products and home safety modifications to people's homes. I also had the opportunity to work for two home medical equipment or DME dealers over the years, and I've worked with many complex rehab technology clients. So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different home safety products, transfer devices, and especially floor to ceiling poles. So when the design team was rethinking our floor to ceiling support, there were some very important clinical features that they took into consideration. And from my perspective as an occupational therapist, having used the pole with many different clients with so many very different needs, the following are what I consider the most important features that make the ideal support for anyone with mobility or balance issues. It should offer two hands of support in front of the client at an ideal height. It should be movable but easy to lock. Should be able to be adjusted with one single hand. Ideally, the ADA recommended grip. Trusted support for self-care tasks. Every surface should offer a secure handhold. Support that would move with you, and it should be certified for use at bedside. So now I would like to introduce our new uPole with Pivot Bar. I am so impressed that this new floor-to-ceiling support meets all 10 clinical features of an ideal support. Let me show you exactly what I mean. One of the most important things I learned in my practice as an occupational therapist is that having two hands of support is an important safety practice in safe transfers and fall prevention. I'd like to share with you an example of when you may have experienced this for yourself. Picture the last time you were on a bus or a subway car, holding a vertical post for balance. And remember that your balance, strength, and reflexes are in the normal range. But what did you experience? What happened when the vehicle suddenly stopped or took a turn? You lost your balance. Even gripping the post with both hands, one above the other, doesn't offer optimal stability. So for your clients with balance or mobility issues, to effectively control their body movements, they ideally need two hands of support. The wider the base of support provides better control. Here's another example to show why two hands in a wide base of support is so much more effective. Here are two pictures of the same client rising off of a low height. The picture on the left shows him preparing to rise with one hand above the other, and the picture on the right shows him with two hands spaced apart. Even if you just look at the body posture in preparation for rising, you can see that two wide hands of support offers a much more balanced, symmetrical, and secure way to move. He will get up with better control using the wide pivot bar. Two hands of support is a well-known safety practice in industry and construction training. It's called the three-point contact rule. I believe that we should adopt this rule in home safety as well. 3 points of contact means that 3 of your 4 limbs should always be in contact with a steady surface. That means that for optimal safety, 2 hands should be supported when someone with mobility or balance issues is stepping or weight shifting from one foot to the other. But it's particularly important when stepping into or out of a shower or over any threshold. So I'd like to show you why 2 hands of support is really essential. I don't have poor balance, but to make myself be at a balance disadvantage, I'm going to stand up on one foot and I'll stand up on the toes of that foot. So if I were to grab a single pole, even one hand above the other, when I try to get up, I am putting all of my weight through that spot, and I just don't have any control over my movement. So what is better is to have two hands of support. So two hands of support, wide as possible. You can have higher or wider. You can do that, whatever is your comfort zone. And when I pull myself up again on the ball of my 1 foot, I actually have better postural control. And same thing, if I were turning to sit onto something else like a wheelchair, and again, I'm still standing on 1 foot, if I am to try to pivot myself, again, I don't have that control. And if I had two hands of support, I've got much better control to manage my body. Some people have asked, well, what do you do if you only have one good hand or one strong arm to assist? Absolutely, it's still important to involve both sides of the body. And this is a neurological treatment process that we want to involve both sides of the body. We want to put weight through both sides of the body, and if at all possible, create symmetrical movement. So let's say my strength is in my right side, left side is weak or not very functional. I still want to get both feet ready with a wide base of support so that some weight can go on both feet. If I were to pull up from one side only and not end up putting weight through that other side, I'm afraid I don't have much body control. But if I were to get this arm, maybe an elbow, maybe some forearm support, but maybe let's try the elbow this time, so that when I get up, I'm trying to get weight through both feet equally, and that support is there. So that when I come to standing, I have had better support through both sides of my body. It's better neurologically to do that, as well as for controlled body movement. Support should be in front. When you come to standing, you lean forward to put weight through your feet, and you shift your weight over those feet to come into standing. So when you have support behind you, you need to abandon that support at some point as you rise up into standing. So I'd like to try something together just to give you that understanding of where exactly should that support be when you allow for normal movement. I want to show you why support should always be in front. If I were to get up off a toilet with a toilet safety frame and I'm pushing myself up, there's a point at which I have to abandon that support to finish standing. And so at that point, I have nothing to balance. And especially when sitting down, if I have to start the sitting down process and I'm looking for that support, then who knows if I'll actually get it safely and have it there as I sit down. But if you have support in front, you will then be able to get up, supported fully through the whole standing up process. And at this point, you can then have full support while you're shuffling your feet, while you're getting ready, and you've got all that support in front of you and you feel secure. So I'm often asked exactly where should that support be? Or if you're helping a client to decide where the support should be, where exactly do you put that pole? So I'll show you how I would test. So if somebody is sitting, let's say, on their toilet, we never, you or I, never get up from the toilet from sitting back. I don't know about you, but I never lean against the back of the toilet. We always prepare to get up by kind of just scooching to the front. And then if I were to stand up, what I do is I have to get my weight over my feet. So to do that, and I'm going to try and do it in slow motion. To do that, I lean forward, I get the weight onto my feet, and then there's a point at which my bottom elevates off that seated surface. So when you look down and you see where the nose is compared to the toes, your nose is actually way over your toes. And that's the moment at which you can put weight through your feet to stand up. So what I want to do is have a pole in that right spot. So I don't assess the pole and where it should be from sitting upright back at the toilet. I get to the point of being ready to move up. So then at that point, I want to be able to get my feet on the ground, get weight over my feet. And what you can see from this pole placement is it's a little bit close to me. It's good, but it's a little bit close. Because for me to get the weight over my feet, I'd have to do this. So it may just maybe be 2 inches further away would be ideal. But when I get up, I can then put weight over my feet. And when sitting down, the weight is completely on my feet, all the way down into the crouch position before I actually land. So that's where you know the pole has to go. I have been asked, well, why wouldn't you have that support higher? That may work for somebody with a really strong upper body because they can hoist themselves up. So let's say a very strong man with bad hips or knees. So hoisting themselves up is an option. But if it's somebody with arthritis, hand weakness, any kind of limitations in their upper body, they need to be able to get the weight over their feet to the point where they can put weight on their feet, and then they need assistance to get up. So that's how you know where to put the pole. The pivot bar offers 2 heights of rails, and the vertical pole offers endless height opportunities for grasping. The combination of all options should accommodate any client. What is the ideal height of the bar? Well, for most people, this bar offers the 2 heights that will accommodate almost all people. But there are some people who have limited shoulder range, so it's not necessarily about the height of the person as much as how high their hands can grasp. My mom had both her shoulders replaced over several years, so her shoulder limitation was significant and she wasn't actually able to raise her arms at all. She was only able to keep her elbows to her side and grab. So this offers 2 heights that will allow almost anybody to get that right height. So if the 2 hands are here, or if you have one good shoulder that can raise up higher or lower, you can use that shoulder, that arm for the vertical post. But even if both shoulders are limited, you can put 2 hands here, they're still at a wide base of support, and they can help you to get up. And once you're in standing, you actually may want that extra height to stand all the rest of the way up. The pivot bar moves easily and locks every 45 degrees for 8 very secure support positions. So when you transfer from one surface to another or step out of a tub, you have 2 hands of support always in front. Support that's always within reach and moves with you every step of the way. How easy is it to move the pivot bar? Well, some people believe you have to grab it with both hands to pivot it, and you don't. That is not the intent of it. You actually just lift it and pivot, and when it pivots, it locks again into position. So you can use your forearm, you can use the back of an arm. You do not need any particular finger dexterity or hand strength to make this move. So when lifting from the outer end, it doesn't lift as easily. So we always suggest lifting closer to the vertical pole, and that will lift super, super easy. And I'm going to try this with my pinky. No, my pinky's not strong enough. But let's say 2 fingers, I can lift it with 2 fingers and make it pivot. The pivot bar can be moved very easily with one hand. No knobs to pull or buttons to push, so it can be operated with very limited hand strength or finger dexterity. It just moves smoothly and locks securely, while the other hand can be supported on the vertical pole, which is not moving. People with very significant limitations can use our pole easier than anything because we've got a lot of surface that will support the body and a very, very simple pivot mechanism. So if I've used the pole to get up and I have significant limitations, I may need to actually lean against the pole to be able to move the pivot bar. Now I could actually not have any use of that hand and I could pivot this bar very easily and then use the bar to support myself, get stable and ready to pivot again, and then work towards that pivot bar to get into a better position. Now, I may actually have a tiny bit of arm function, so maybe I could just use the back of an elbow to help me sit into that next surface. So even despite very significant limitations, people can use our bar to help transfer. The 1¼ inch diameter of the pivot bar and the 1½ inch diameter of the uPole meets the ADA guidelines for grab bars, which makes the uPole with pivot bar the ideal grip for a variety of hand sizes and strengths. The uPole with pivot bar is a trusted support for self-care tasks. I have had clients try to balance with their forehead against the wall for stability so that they can manage their clothing after toileting or getting dressed. The pivot bar is 14 inches wide, which is wide enough to support the pelvis of both men and women, and the upright pole can support the chest and upper body as well. So this product gives clients the confidence to lean against it to manage their tasks independently, or provides support so that the caregivers can assist without trying to support the client at the same time. When we typically talk about poles for the use at toileting, we don't tend to talk about some of the other tasks that are needed. We think mainly about getting up and down from the toilet, but the reality is that we have clothing to manage. And being an occupational therapist in the home, I got to see how challenging the task of managing clothing can be in the toileting process. So just to let you get a glimpse of how this would work, when you've pulled yourself up from the toilet and you need to manage your clothing, you want to make sure that you can actually get that clothing up again. So what some people do, I'm going to just change the camera angle a little bit. So what some people do is they end up leaning against the pole, leaning against the bar, and then their hands can be free to manage clothing, perform hygiene tasks, do up that zipper, whatever that task is, both hands are free. And this pole gives me a ton of support right across my chest so that my upper body is controlled, my pelvis is controlled. And for me, I'm 5'8". This hits me right at my pelvis. So it gives me great postural control. And the width of this is wider than typical pelvises, so male, female. This 14-inch bar will support any width across the pelvis. Every surface offers a secure handhold. There is no jack screw or sleeve to interfere with the placement of hands on the upright pole or the horizontal bar, so that wherever somebody needs to hold, it's a secure handhold. What I love about our pole is that every surface is a good gripping surface. So this pivoting bar is a very small section, and everything above this is totally grippable. There's no jack screw, there's no sleeve that's going to slide or turn, and the bar itself, 14 inches wide. If this hand needs to grip in a vertical position, it can do that. I can grip low if I want to push down. I can even use my forearm. I can use my forearm here. But every position that I can possibly grab hold of is a good, stable surface. I pulled these pictures of several other products that are on the market. I pulled it off the internet just to be able to show you how the jack screw can interfere with the hand positions of clients. The jack screw is at the base of the uPole and never interferes with placement of the hands. The pivot bar provides support that moves with you. It can be in the ideal place when you're moving from lying down to sitting up in bed, or moved further to support you while swinging your legs over the side of the bed, and then be moved to the best position to support you when rising to a standing position at the bedside. So it moves to support you every step of the way. Very often, people are moving not just up and down from a surface, but then moving on to another surface. Whether that is getting up at bedside to move to a bedside commode, or to a wheelchair, or to another chair to sit in to get dressed. So a support that moves with you becomes so important. So if I use the pole and the bar to get into standing, and then I want to shuffle my feet to get to that next surface, this gives me ideal support so that I can shuffle right up to that pivot bar, very easily move it to its next 45-degree angle, and shift over again to that pivot bar, and shifting one more time. So it's support that moves with you, and most importantly, as you're backing up, we want to be so sure that people don't topple backwards. So sticking the bottom out a little bit, leaning more on that pivot bar to get the feet back, but weight still over the feet. Move it forward, backing up again, pivot again, and then finding the chair with the back of the legs to make sure you're right up against that surface before lowering down. So this pivot bar moves with you and provides support that moves with you. The uPole with pivot bar, as well as the SuperPole with superbar, have been tested in third-party testing facilities, and they've both met the safety standards to become ASTM certified for bedside use. This is the gold standard for safety and is enforced by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and exists to prevent entrapment that can lead to serious injury or death. With the tension fit between floor and ceiling, the uPole offers a 300-pound weight capacity without screws or drilling into your floor or ceiling. Screws are provided, and there are holes in the base and ceiling plate for certain facility requirements or client preference. This product provides support that you can trust. The uPole, with its cloud white designer paint color, fits perfectly into any room in the home. The dome ceiling plate is an attractive option compared to the more industrial or angular options. They look great and are functional in any room of the home. Thank you for watching this clinical training on the uPole with pivot bar. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact anyone on our team. We are happy to help.